Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm April Martinez.
And I'm Paul Lopez.
And good morning, Belize. Thank you so much for joining us on this lovely
Monday
morning.
morning.
It's rainy, it's cool here in the city. The thunder a little bit last night.
This
Some
morning
lightning here
as well,
and there.
yeah.
But it was, I don't know, I just felt the one thing is that, you know, I'm cozy and I just want to turn and don't want to sleep because it just feels so nice.
And the other thing is that we are in September, April.
We are in September. The set.
And the set says it all.
Yes.
And of course, it's the best month of the year because it's Belize's
National
Celebrations Month, as well as my birthday month.
Okay.
So that's the second reason why it's the best month of the year.
You know that just like September people, they think that the September celebrations about them.
Yeah.
It's okay. I get
But I
it.
love
My
the
dad is also.
set, April.
Yes, it's beautiful.
I love the set that we're on. I'd like to say kudos to our producer, our team behind the scene, that we're integral in ensuring that all of this takes place, because one of the things our viewers want to do is to feel the vibe.
They want
Whenever
to feel
you
festive.
wake up in the morning and you join us, you know, we are the morning show of choice for you guys, whether you're pouring your coffee, you're just getting back home from your workout, you're just taking that last turnover, you put on your phone and you say, make I go pa Open Your Eyes to say what it happened.
But you know, I like that because when I walked in the set of September 1st, I was a little bit surprised that we hadn't started yet. But then I also realized that Friday is also one of those days where you want to have like a fun Friday show and so forth. But any office space, try to get in that red, white, and blue before the 1st of September. And if you haven't as yet, I am sure that today and for the rest of this week, you're going to be decorating and just, you know, executing that civic pride.
Because there's so much happening, and I love the nails as well. I gotta say,
Thank
I love.
you.
What I appreciate about you is that you stay in the seasons.
I try.
Whether it is whatever, you find a way to represent that, and I appreciate that about you. And this month, of course, it's all about the celebrations. Over the weekend, we had a couple of celebrations, big celebrations.
Indeed.
We're talking about the Sir Barry Bowen Belkin Bash. We had
80s night.
80s night. We had Carnival, King and Queen.
There was just so much happening this weekend.
Happening this weekend. And then coming into next weekend, there's a whole bunch of other
Carnival,
celebrations.
tent,
And then the weekend
following
after.
weekend. Well, I mean, like I said, I always encourage people to go to the National Celebrations Commission website to get the month, the calendar
Right,
month.
there's an entire calendar.
It's not just the events happening in Belize City, but also in all municipalities across the country. So whether you're in PG, Corozal, or Cayo, there is something happening in your area. So you want to check out that calendar so that you don't miss the weekend celebrations.
But April, another thing that's certainly buzzing is that while September is the start of our September national celebrations, for many, it's also the start of the new school year.
It is.
And that's what's happening this morning across the country. Government schools, primary schools to be exact, are resuming. So,
and that's why Sani is not here, because he's taking his young son to his first day of primary school.
And he is no exception, because parents across the country this morning are getting their kids ready. I could imagine the bit of excitement as well as jitters, and maybe even some crying and nervousness and anxiousness from kids, because it's never one thing for children when it's the first day of school.
You know, Paul, I'm saying, I was talking to my mom about this because she does teach primary school as well, and it's going to be the actual first full fiscal year, the first year, 2023, September 2023, where these are the first set of students to experience life post-COVID.
Okay, there you go.
Right? Those preschool kids, those infant one kids, those are the ones that they're going to school for the first. They probably didn't even realize that there was an era where they would not be physically going to school. And I think that we have to continue to understand that, because that's how cultural changes shift, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to be the first set, and my mom said it, like the last set, they were still in that COVID era. Social cues were still wonky. There were certain people that still were on that, have to Zoom meetings and so forth. And now you're seeing this new set of kids where you're integrating those skills that you learn to use via the laptop, WhatsApp, Zoom, whatever, to integrate that into your classroom with these new set of kids for the first time.
Yeah.
It's a weird feeling to think about that we're now having this new generation post-COVID.
I mean, I could already see the scenes at various schools, whether it's the kids running in excited to greet and meet and be with their friends. From last year, I could already see some of the kids crying and saying,
"Did you cry
I'm not ready
your
to
first
leave."
day at preschool?
Actually, I jumped out of the school window and I ran home. That village school.
Paul!
I jumped out of the window.
Please do
My
not
first
get any
day,
ideas.
I ran home, and when I got to the front door, my mom was like, "What are you doing here?" I know I go to school. I want to stay home.
Aww.
But actually, I ended up...
They carry you back.
They carried me back, and for the first week, I cried, and after that, I made friends. So for even parents worried, don't worry. It's going to be all right. The kids are going to make friends, and soon enough, you're not going to get them to stop talking about these friends and experiences.
I cried my first day of preschool. I was like hanging on for dear life to my dad, and I was like yelling at him in Spanish to not leave me here with these people, like for real. And then he left me there with those people, But exactly as Paul said, you cry for the first time, or you don't. You have some kids that just go, those naturally social, wanting to experience new thing kids. And so new experiences for children, change is amazing. And, congratulations to all of those kids and those parents that had a summer with their kids and now they're going back to primary school. But Paul, as we have to move on into the show for this morning, we of course bring you footage from the weekend and coverage from the news that happened this weekend on our Monday's Eye on the News.
So April, this is the Eye on the News segment, the #1 news review segment on a Monday morning. And there's a lot to discuss about what happened over the weekend in the news. And of course, we want to start by talking about an event that took place last week. And we're talking about the Belize Investment Summit, but more so one of those unplanned side events, and that had to do with, of course, the United Democratic Party's protest on Thursday. The UDP went out at least 89, my understanding. They had some 86 to 89 UDP members who took to the streets of San Pedro to protest not the investment summit, but the manner in which they feel or they believe the government of Belize, the People's United Party administration, is handling the Andrew Perez situation. We know what's happening with the Minister of Blue Economy, Andrew Perez, so we don't necessarily have to rehash that. But these protesters, they were met by police officers at the main bridge on the island, and this is the bridge that connects the north of the island to the south of the island. And I was there, and so I got
they never made it to the Grand Carib.
And the thing is, we were anticipating their arrival at Grand Carib. The thing is, I don't know what they had in mind in terms of getting there, because it was 89 of them, and they didn't have transportation.
So they were
walking?
walking?
So they were walking. They walked at least a mile from where the water taxi is to the bridge. That's 1 mile.
Yeah.
Right? And then to walk from the bridge to where Grand Carib is at least another 1.25 miles.
Wow.
So they would have had in their mind, one would imagine, to walk a long distance to protest the government of Belize and the manner in which they're dealing with the Andre Perez situation. But as we know now, they did not make it all the way there because police officers were there and they created a barricade to stop them. And because we weren't staying too far from the bridge, from the morning that we woke up, that's myself and cameraman, editor George Tillett, from we woke up in the morning, we saw heavy police presence.
Yeah.
So we knew that something was happening, but I was saying that we were anticipating their arrival at Grand Carib. And I was in the loop. I was getting messages, and I was being told, all right, they're on their way, and I was anticipating their arrival. And next thing I heard,
they're at the bridge.
They were at the bridge.
Yeah.
So we had to rush out, and we had to capture the scene at the bridge.
Yeah, can I ask in terms of since you were there and the feel like, and I know that we had bits of pieces from the newscast last week, but from your general observation and from what the entire claim of the protest to be, the feel of the protesters versus what was supposed to actually be protested, do you think that was executed?
Well, you know, you always have a group of leaders that clearly understands the vision.
Right.
And there's always a gap between the group that understands the vision and them translating that vision clearly to the majority of the protesters. So at times you'll have the majority following along as faithfuls to these leaders, come what may, or regardless of what you're doing or why we're out here.
Right.
We're out. So there's the group, the majority that says we're out here to protest Andre Perez, Minister Andre Perez, and the government of the Belize. And the other group, the majority, usually in these cases, that say we're out here because they're out here.
Yeah.
And we support them. They are our leaders.
Yeah.
And so that's what you find often. And this
I was
group
reading
was
some
no
of the
different.
signs, and I'm like, okay, I'm not really sure.
Well, even just conversations with some of the individuals, you could tell that we're out here because they brought us out here. We're out here because we follow them and we support them. And then now we people, and if we people are out there, they mechanize against Andre Perez, with the Minister Andre Perez, and they mechanize against the government, then guess what? We just add voices to that, and that's the nature of politics.
Do you think that persons that were in the summit and presenting the summit were aware of what was taking place outside?
Apart from the government officials and perhaps who they may have made aware of it in terms of visitors, I don't know that. And of course, if you watch the news that night leading into the second day of the summit, I don't know that there was any major conversations or whispers about this protest at the actual summit. The summit seemed to have flowed as smooth as it was planned. And so I don't know that it made any effect, caused any effect negative or whatsoever on the summit itself. But one of the interesting things that came out of the protest is the fact that the UDP Rural South Executive issued a press release on that day disassociating themselves from the protest. And I have gathered that the UDP Rural South Executive have in fact disassociated themselves, from what I've gathered, from the entire Andre Perez situation, the Minister of Blue Economy situation, to say that this is a personal matter for Mr. Perez, that this is an internal issue for not only the PUP Rural South Executive, but also for the San Pedro PUP body, and almost to say that we're looking from outside as this unfolds within the PUP's San Pedro body and as they crumble. And we want to have little to no part in that crumbling. In fact, while they crumble, this is what I'm gathering, we, the UDP Rural South Executive, will do what we need to do to not only pick up the pieces that fall on this side, but to continue to maintain our supporters and to grow on our supporters.
I just wanted to say that as we're talking about the reason why they went out to protest, right? They want to see the full resignation of Minister Perez. And I can't help but think that I felt a little bit deja vu sitting here talking about, because we've had this conversation also about the opposition, right? So where do we draw certain lines of what we want to see in our leaders, or how do we handle certain situations when our leaders execute these kinds of scandals, if you will? I'm not saying that the scandals are the same or so forth, but we've had the same instances where we're calling out for these persons to be removed from office based on these accusations or allegations and so forth. In the same grand scheme of sexual matters or matters surrounding their personal lives. So do we always condemn for these kinds of issues? Is it going to always be a recurring thing, or then do we start to set it in our bylaws and in our laws that certain persons with certain immoral acts need to be removed? Because there's nowhere in our bylaws that say so, right? So where do we put certain standards and where do we put certain lines? Because honestly, whichever government comes into play again, we're going to be talking about the same thing. Maybe not in the same exact manner, but we're going to be here again talking about the removal of somebody because of some personal scandal that has taken place. Well, so do the ends of this protest justify the means?
Just staying on the protest, April, it did the UDP's Rural North executive, their disassociation from this protest did not bode well for them. And I will say that much to say that over the weekend, the NPC, the United Democratic Party, NPC, decided that they would call an emergency NPC meeting to determine whether or not the executive of this UDP branch should be expelled from the party or not, including the UDP standard bearer for that area, Ms. Jazeli Azueta. And that vote was taken on Saturday, based on what we've been able to gather. And from that meeting, 57 NPC members voted in favor of her expulsion.
Wow.
And 12 voted against.
Wow.
So there was a minority, reportedly, from what we've gathered, from members of her executive, from members of her group. What we've gathered is that 12 voted against. These are being hailed as those who were brave enough to take a stand against the NPC, to take a stand against their party leader, while 57 said, yes, out with Ms. Azueta and out with her executive. Because if we're to stand as a party, then we need to stand united. And if we're to fall, then we will fall divided.
But so, you know, that does not surprise me, Paul, because remember a couple of years ago we were here talking about how it's not a united opposition, and they're just starting to gather those pieces back. They're just starting to get this kind of unity, this united front going, with all of the backlash and allegations for the past couple of years. This is, they're just starting to get on that space where they feel like their foundations are finally coming back. And so for this executive to say, we're not like that, we're not you know, showing support of this protest, or we're not showing support of this particular event because of the summit, etc. And now the party is saying, well, you're not with us, then you're against us, and we don't need you to be a part of this. You know,
what I've gathered about San Pedro residents is that they choose their causes.
Yes.
They decide based on whatever culture or how they've been cultured or raised, what they will protest. Because it's not to say that San Pedroanians don't protest, you know. We think about just 2 weeks ago, we saw the protests against the detention of Jesse Smith.
Yes.
The young man, the boat captain, detained in connection with the boat collision that caused the death of a tourist. So we saw San Pedroanians united in that protest, but we didn't see them out in this protest. So they choose, they decide, and on whatever grounds, they do decide. So it's not to say that they don't protest. And I like it. I like it. I like their approach. But the UDP they have their mechanisms.
Yes.
In which they deal with situations.
This was a political protest.
And the NPC, they also have full leisure based on the UDP's constitution to take these types of actions. And that's exactly what happened. Now, how this one will play out for the party leader and how it will play out for the party, that's something that we'll have to wait and see. But what I understand is that at this point, the leader of the opposition is persona non grata on the island of San Pedro, on the island of Hamburger's Creek, that is in San Pedro town. So that is yet to be seen. But April, politics permeates a lot of things. And finally, I just want to end by touching briefly on the the resignation of Ruth Schumann, the former president of the Belize National Teachers Union. On Friday, she officially handed in her resignation. That is after taking office on July 3rd, I believe. So July, August, September, that's like about 2 months. So a bit less than 2 months. After a bit less than 2 months, she resigned as the president of the Belize National Teachers. You know, now we know that her leadership has been shrouded with controversy, and we did not hear much from her. And one of the main reasons why we did not hear much from her was because on the day of her elections, she categorically stated that she will only come to the media when she needs the media, or when she sees it fit to come to the media. She will come to the media almost to say, and this is how we took it. We never take it personal, like we say, oh, you know what, we know what, you know, but to say, well, we don't know how much of any comments we will get from her, even if it is needed. In fact, if I'm to be correct, the second time we heard from her was last week. It was last week, Tuesday.
I remember,
And she got herself in a lot of trouble with certain comments that she made. And it's not that she was wrong for making the comments she made, but a lot of her comments, particularly on the curriculum and on the teachers' qualifications and need for additional training. I can't remember the term exactly. But those comments did not sit well with the Ministry of Education.
But you know, Paul, I think that any post of leadership, any leadership post will, you know, come with some backlash, right? And I think she expected that backlash with perhaps maybe the ministry, perhaps the general public. I don't think she expected that backlash from internal parties within her union. Well, and, you know, in order for you to lead, you have to have a good support system. And if your support system does not want you or is against you for some reason or the other, you will have these kinds of issues. In any kind of BNTU capacity, we have seen Ruth Schumann there for decades. And it is sad to see that this is what has led her to resign
and remove herself.
This is where we talk about things like our crabs in a bucket society, when we talk about these kinds of cultural behaviors that we have when it comes to certain persons in positions of power, or if you want to be in a position of power. But I think her stance on not talking to the media was more on securing herself first. This was her first time being the president, and with all of the hullabaloo and the things that can generally go wrong when you are talking to the media, people take things out of context, people take things in a different way. And so if you're not properly prepared to speak to the media or to speak to the public, it's best, you say, if you can't say nothing nice, you don't say nothing at all, it's best you don't say anything until you have your ducks in a row. And I really think that's what she was trying to do.
And we're going to have to rush through this quickly because I could see that they're really signaling
we have
us
to wrap up.
To wrap up on this one. But she's resigned now, and her first vice president, I understand, will take over for a short period, and then a by-election will be held. So, I mean, we wish her all the best. We saw a short stint of her leadership. I wish that we would have seen more. Clearly, she's alluding to being treated unfairly, seemingly by those within the union, those among her, among her own peers. And so we'll have to wait to see what that by-election will bring or what that will result in.
And of course, you can catch more extensive pieces on these stories and other stories in our newscast tonight at 6 p.m. via cable or on YouTube. That does it for Eye on the News. And we got to move on into our weather for this morning, Paul. As we mentioned, it was rainy, it was windy, it was thundering and lightning and all that cozy weather. But of course, it is the hurricane season after all. So we do expect systems in the Caribbean and in the Atlantic to take place. So this is no kind of surprise. It always rains in September. It always does. But we are getting that update from our friends at the Belize Meteorological Service to give us that update. All right. We're gonna have the... Oh, here they are. We have Catherine Cumberbatch on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, April and Paul.
How are you this morning?
I am well after almost 12 hours of work.
Oh.
Let me say,
oh, wow.
I am under the little woods of it.
Oh, wow, wow. Well, Catherine, I do hope that after this update, you do get some well-deserved rest today.
Yes, after about 2 more hours to go, and then I go home.
Well, please give us that general situation for today before you run.
Okay, April and Paul. What we have, our general situation is we have a light and somewhat moist airflow prevailing. So for the next 24 hours, you could expect sunny skies today with a few cloudy spells. And the high temperatures will go up to 90 along the coast, 95 inland, and 82 over the mountains. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies. The temperatures will drop to 82 along coastal areas, 74 inland, and 68 in the higher elevation. Showers and thunderstorms today will be generally isolated, except for a few showers and isolated thunderstorms that are expected to develop mainly along coastal area. And as I speak, those activities are happening especially right over the Belize City area. We have some thunder activity that is moving in Belize City, but as the day progresses, those will dissipate out, and we go back to generally isolated. Yes, that's what we have. As I said, our winds will be light and variable at first, and then later the winds will be coming out of the east and northeast at 5 to 15 knots, giving us a sea state of being slight. When we look for our outlook for Tuesday, we could expect fair weather to prevail, and the showers or thunderstorms will be isolated. Then on Tuesday night, we expect an increase in coastal showers and thunderstorms. For sargassum forecast, there is just a low chance that sargassum mats could drift on our beaches during the coming days. And in the tropical weather outlook, beside from tropical storm Gert and tropical depression Gotcha in the far northeast Atlantic, we have a tropical wave that is located several hundred miles southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands that has a very high chance of becoming a tropical depression over the next 48 hours as this system moves westward to west-northwestward at 15 to 25 miles per hour. Wow. So that's basically what I have for you guys.
Wow. Thank you so much for that update, Catherine. And do stay as dry and as warm as you possibly can.
Okay, guys. Thank you,
Thank
man.
you.
Sure.
Okay.
All right, there you have that update. We have a couple of systems brewing up in the west and in the north. So for our folks and friends that are in the diaspora that just experienced that Hurricane Idalia last week, you know, please try your best to look out for more updates from this new tropical depression that is brewing. And of course, please remember that we are still in the hurricane season. Try your best to be as prepared as possible. But Paul, we got to move on into our show for this morning. It's a packed show.
It is.
3 segments, and we are going to be talking to the representatives from the police department and their initiative call for papers. So that's going to be our first conversation.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. The department always doing some interesting things to tackle crime, not only from a enforcement perspective, but also through these initiatives.
Yes.
So interesting conversation there. Then our second conversation is all about the Belize Culture Symposium, and we're going to have a conversation on that, when it's taking place, who's going to be the presenters, all the conversations to look out forward to for that symposium. So you don't want to miss that conversation.
And we are going to be wrapping things up with the winner of the King and Queen Carnival competition. They're going to be joining us in studio to talk about, you know, the work it takes to get into the costumes, the jewels, the pomp, the circumstance, the zazz, everything that has to do with becoming King and Queen of Carnival. So that's going to be our final conversation. But Paul, we got to take the break. We are going to be back with the initiative call for papers from the Belize Police Department. Stay with us.
Get ready, babe. We're going on a vacation.
Finally, where are we going?
Don't worry, babe. I have we covered.
Are you sure you know where we're going?
Yes, babe. Oh, right there, see? Babe, the price me too good to be true. Me look much more better in that picture.
When life throws you a curveball, Belize Bank has your back. With our online financing, you can turn any vacation mishap into a dream getaway.
Cheers to Belize Bank for making our dream vacation a reality.
Thanks to you, babes, to turn things around.
No thanks to you, cheapo.
Out.
Experience the future of financing with Belize Bank online, where you can secure funds for anything, from anywhere, at any time, all without stepping foot in a bank. Apply for a loan today and unlock a world of possibilities.
Visit Benny's today to get all your household and construction needs, from tiles to paints, electrical and plumbing supplies to power tools, lights and fans to kitchen appliances and faucets, gym equipment to household items. We have what you need. We also offer store-wide promotions for you, our customers, so you can enjoy deals and discounts all year long. To get more value for your purchase, take advantage of Benny's B-Bucks, which is free money. All you have to do is shop at any Benny's location or entity. Stop in at Benny's Home Center on Regent Street, Benny's Bargain Center on Freetown Road, Benny's Superstore 2.5 miles Philip Golson Highway, or Benny's Cayo 43 miles George Price Highway just outside Belmopan. Enjoy special offers, free delivery, and get rewarded with free money when you shop at Benny's today. Benny's, quality and savings.
Make your summer better. Over $30,000 in cash and prizes with Smart Summer Sweepstakes. Here's how you can enter for a chance to win. Sign up for a smart postpaid, broadband, or VoIP plan. Use $100 or more regular prepaid credit. Do a SIM swap or text in to the shark code 786. In the body of the message, enter the number of entries you would like to purchase.
No waste no time. You can be the winner of weekly prizes. All methods give you more chances to win. local airline tickets, overnight stays at numerous resorts, cash prizes, gift certificates, and much, much more. One lucky person will win the grand prize valued at $10,000, courtesy of Smart and the Belize Tourism Board.
Promotion ends September 15th. So make your summer better by getting in the race to win with Smart's Summer Sweepstakes. Smart, bringing people together.
Keycaulker, San Pedro, and Belize City are just a click away with Caribbean Sprinter. Avoid delays by getting your tickets and boarding passes online at sprinter.bz and welcome aboard.
All right, and we are back on this lovely Monday morning with our first conversation for the day, and it's all about the initiative Call for Papers. And we have in studio with us Dr. Richard Rosado, who's the Deputy Commissioner of Police, as well as Ms. Liana Cano, who's an Inspector of Police. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning, and we are excited to be here, and we are excited to discuss the new initiative from our Ministry of Home Affairs, which has been embraced by our police department.
All right, so Call for Papers. Let's talk about it. What is this initiative? I think about papers, I think about research. I'm wondering, what does law enforcement have to do with this? Let's talk about it.
Well, to put some context into it, if you recall that the Leadership Intervention Unit was an initiative that was started by my Minister, Honorable Kareem Musa, as a means to address crime and criminality from a holistic, multi-sectoral all-of-government approach to address it from the primary, secondary, and tertiary level, which basically encapsulate the delivering targeted social transformation program, restructuring, reforming, and rebuilding the police department, and also focusing on smart policing and evidence-based policing and embracing technological advances. Now, the Call for Paper is another initiative from our Ministry of Home Affairs, which has been completely embraced by the rank and file of the police department, which now involve the frontline officers and our managers in advancing thinking, reading, and best practices in policing through research and opinion paper. So it is based, and we are hopeful that this will be, their ideas and initiatives, their research will eventually be integrated into our LIU multi-sectoral strategic plan before it is official launch.
Okay, so let's talk a bit about what is being asked of your frontline officers, your managers, in terms of these papers, the length of the paper, the themes that are being required. Are we talking about, let's
well,
go in
we
there.
do have a video that our commissioner had put together in regards to the awareness.
Okay, so we're going to play that video. All right, let's see that video.
Call for Papers is an initiative taken up by our Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Home Affairs and New Growth Industry. It's an opportunity for police officers to showcase their writing and research skills. Officers are required to pick a topic, do a research, and write a paper. That paper will then be reviewed by a board, which is going to select a winning candidate. That winning candidate is going to get a gift, courtesy of the ministry. Oftentimes, the public see us as people who are not capable of writing, we're not capable of reasoning, we're not capable of having sound educational background. This program gives us an opportunity to showcase to the public our writing skills and to let them understand that as police officers, we too are educated. So I encourage all police officers who believe that they have what it takes to be a part of this very good initiative to take advantage. Select your topic, do your research, and write your paper. I wish you all well, and may the best writer win.
I really I commend this initiative very much so. I think I have to disagree with the comptroller. I don't know if the general public sees the police officers in that view. But I do think it's a great initiative to give you all the opportunity to execute perhaps your degrees that you got in school before you joined the police department. Doctor?
Actually, to add to what the commissioner said, we are welcoming submission from a wide cross-section of learning and experience across many disciplines.
Okay.
And we are hoping that the police officers will be holistic in their presentation, in their paper, and basically focus on policing, police leadership, management systems and controls, reforming, restructuring, and rebuilding the police organization. So in other words, we want our police officers to be able to focus their initiative in these areas that would help us in transforming the organization to the direction we want it to go.
What has the interest been like? I believe it has been launched already, the call?
The submission has been launched. When we first started, I think we were very, reluctant of whether or not anybody would submit because given that this was the first time, but so far we have 23 entries, which is a lot.
That's
because
a lot.
you have to factor in that these are police officers who are working full time. Some of them are going to school. Of course, they have their home life. So being able to make a submission within the little bit of free time that they do have, it was a great deal to get 23 entries. So we're very proud of that.
Walk me through the vetting process. So they're supposed to submit a full-blown proposal, an abstract. What are the first steps and how do they review?
Well, before I just let me add before I allow Ms. Cano, we want our participants to be able to explore the topics more in depth than they would do in a casual conversation. So in other words, we require from our participants basically to probe the different teams, basically look at the different ideas and thoughts, and basically connect them and explain them. But most importantly, for them to provoke thought with implication for policing.
So I do have some of the topics here that have been submitted. Of course, we won't say the name or the rank. Challenges in the Belize Police Department, the consumption to perdition, poverty, the root cause of criminal ideation. It's time to flip the promotional script in the Belize Police Department, management and misuse of resources. Even though knowledge is power, social media is the make or break to effective policing and crime in Belize. Obesity in the Belize Police Department, a threat to national security, beyond the microscope. Exploring the complexities of policing cybercrime in Belize, analyzing strategies, challenges, and the evolution of law enforcement in the digital age. Unveiling a new era in Belize, empowering community-led initiatives to reshaping policing beyond the uniform for enhanced crime prevention and public safety. Effective deployment of personnel. Police welfare is priority. The importance of valuing the perspective of lower-ranking officers and the advantages of expanding educational opportunities for police officers. So those are some of the topics that we've had, and they really are exciting because just by the title alone, you can see that much has been put in as far as thought and how they can help better the department and in the long run, better the community.
How long are these papers required to be?
We have a limit, I think it's 2,500 words.
2,500 words.
So it's a full research, well, not a full, a research paper in itself.
It was a very short period of time. I'm sure if we had a lot longer, given, all of what's going on, and then we're in the September celebration, so even with the topics that they submit, it shows you that they have been just waiting for an opportunity to present their ideas. And so this is one way that the ministry is highlighting that.
And remember, it can be a research paper or an opinion paper.
Yes, you said that earlier.
So what are the requirements that you are looking for once you start to vet these papers?
Honestly, the editorial, we have an entire process that we will go through from the team submission, the abstract submission, the full submission. And before they do the final revision, and the editorial board will be engaged completely in the process. And what we're looking for is quality, originality, and contribution to knowledge. So those are the areas that specifically we want the editorial board will be looking at. And we have a rubric that we're putting together that how we will evaluate the papers.
So this is your editorial board that we're seeing on the screen right now some very familiar faces in writing, authorship here in Belize. So I like that. That's one thing. Now, what I appreciate about this approach is that what you're getting are perspectives from your officers. So those that goes through the day-to-day experiences, they know what's happening. So some of the topics you're hearing are exactly related to what they are experiencing. The challenge I have with exercises like these sometimes is the weight that will be given to these opinions or these writings after the competition or the process is completed. So most of the times, in many cases, these papers are shelved, and then 5-10 years down the road, the situation is raised again, there's more discussions on it, and somebody might say, but you know what? 5 years ago, I wrote a paper on this, and nobody sought to address it or pay attention to it. So let's talk a bit about the weight with which you guys will consider these
Honestly,
papers.
I think that is something that we really thought about. In fact, just putting together our LIU's multi-sectoral strategic plan, it has been going through a process over the past few years or couple of years and months. And people might wonder, why go through that entire process? But we are about inclusion and not exclusion. And hence the reason we want the input from everybody. Now we are hopeful that the ideas, the initiative, because remember the editorial board will serve as coaches to these participants. They will mentor them, they will support them in preparing their final paper in the hope that their initiative, their research, their opinion paper can be integrated into our LIU multi-sectoral strategic plan. So we are optimistic about the input that our officers will be able to provide in advancing, in transforming our organization.
And we did have this conversation with our CEO. After seeing the titles that were submitted and seeing the depth of where they were going, the suggestion was made that even though we can only have one winner, that each of these papers, of course, have value. So it would be, it would be important to then look at all the papers submitted and see what we could do with our development and compliance branch, where they can maybe adjust some policies that maybe need to be adjusted, create ones, or how we can benefit off of the work already done. So we don't want to shelve these papers because much work has gone into them, blood, sweat, and tears, I'm sure. But just like any other department, some of the topics that were covered are things that you would probably hear about at any department worldwide. So it's not, just unique to us. But again, there are other approaches where we had even talked about maybe taking the papers one by one and publishing them in our departmental orders. And the whole idea of that, even though it's just a publication for police officers, is to create like an awareness where we want everybody to start thinking of how to move us forward, start thinking outside of the box, because that is what it is when it comes to innovation. We want to move forward as a department and we want to be better. And so we need everybody on board. And this is kind of the way to not only highlight the work that these officers have done, but also to promote the ideas so that when change comes, we can look from within instead of looking from outside entities.
And to add to what Ms. Cano said, we are also exploring the idea of actually copying from what the Coast Guard have, their monthly or quarterly newsletter, where we will be able to publish these publications to highlight the research and initiative from our police officers. So it's a direction that we want to go, and we are going through a reform, restructuring, and rebuilding the police organization to that modern policing that we want it to be. So it's an initiative that the rank and file of the police department embrace, and we are thankful that our ministry is providing that guidance and direction for us.
So the opinion, the opinion papers or the research papers, is there a particular sequence in terms of solution-based ideas? So yes, they have their research, yes, they have their opinions, but you all are law enforcement officers, so you kind of know the way certain things work within your institution and in the system of Belize. So are you looking for these these researchers, these solutions that work within that system as well. And I ask because once that paper is chosen, how long does execution process take? What is the public going to be aware of these kinds of changes in like a gradual manner? How do you even vet a winning paper? What is the thing that is going to set it apart from everything else?
Now remember, we have a editorial board.
I know, but I am very, very curious about the content.
That consists of a wide degree of qualification, background, experiences that will help us to be able to vet, be able to analyze, be able to critique the paper, and will be able to provide us insight on the direction that they believe the department should go.
Okay.
So it is a holistic approach, and we are getting input from a wide cross-section of people. And I think it is, once we go through that rigorous evaluation of the paper and the research and the opinion paper, it will provide some guidance and direction for us. Because our officers, like you said, they are the one on the ground. They are the one that experience it, and what better way to advance the department and getting their input to transform the organization.
So the submissions aren't closed as yet?
The thesis statement.
The thesis statement has been closed, but
it's
the first,
the 10th.
Yes, the first draft is not closed yet. So even if they're like a day or two late, I'd still accept it, because you have to remember too, I mean, they're working full time. It's not 8 to 5.
Yes.
So you have to make the allowance for that. And even with that, you know, the 23 entries, that I tell them, because we did do a awareness internally that even if you think you're going to be late and you're positive that you want to submit, just go ahead and submit it, because we don't want to close them off from being able to contribute. But once the first draft is the deadline, then we're going to have to.
So when is the first draft
deadline?
I believe it is early September, September 7th.
Okay, so it's in early September.
This week then.
And do these officers have a guide in terms of a writing guide or a research paper guide, or someone to walk them through? While they may have ideas that they want to put to paper, you know, somebody might go to school for a while and forget how to structure this and how to put that together, put thoughts to paper.
Now, our police officers have a varied level of intellectual ability and skills, and we are cognizant that they may require some professional development training for them to be able to put together a well thought of paper and do their research and opinion paper. And we have been in discussion along with Ms. Kano and the team to partner with our national university to be able to provide that capacity development for our officers, for them to be able to present and put together a thorough paper. And while the editorial board will serve as a form of coaching the participants, mentoring the participants, providing guidance to the participants, we also believe that our national university can also assist us.
Okay.
And to add, we also have another forum that we will be launching in October with the University of Belize, that will also advance this cause, which we are scheduling for the first week in, I believe it's the first week in October.
So once the papers have been submitted, the first draft is submitted, the editorial board will review, and then they will get those papers back and submit a second draft?
Yes.
Okay.
So once it is submitted, the editorial board will, like I said, will go through the rigorous evaluation, because we're looking for originality, for quality, contribution to knowledge. And then the editorial board will provide that guidance and for revision if necessary, and for the participants. So we will be there to provide that support, that coaching, and that mentorship.
So when does the final paper get selected?
It will be well, the winner will be announced in the 26th of October.
Okay.
So there is still a lot of reviewing that will probably need to get done. But with the editorial board, the composition was so important, because while we do have Dr. Asado and Dr. Brown there, who works with the police department, of course, we also wanted to have other perspectives, so that for those who didn't do a research paper, that their paper wouldn't, you know, there would still be much weight on there. And that's why having the editors and the authors and other persons from the media became very important.
I think this, what I like, it feels like an entire university degree process, right? Where they present a thesis statement, you put together, and it really elevates our perspective of the department, of the members' capacity to really think critically and to write papers, research, or opinion. Have any of you gotten an opportunity to review any of these first drafts yet, or just your initial thoughts on some of the topics that have come out?
No, actually, it's a process like what we mentioned. It is going through from the thesis submission, the abstract submission, the full submission, then the revision. The editorial board will actually review it once it enters the full submission and the abstract submission. So I personally, we have not seen it as yet.
Okay. So you haven't seen it as
yes,
yet.
the process is, most of it is done through email. It makes it easier to communicate with them. Many of these officers are coming from all over. So you have some in PG, you have some in Carzal, and they email it to a specific email that we had created for that. Again, I am the person who usually does the communication between them, even though I have compiled the topics. I don't want to read them right now because I don't want to spoil it for myself. So I won't, they're really good. And so I was like, no, I'm going to wait. But the editorial board, when they do receive them, they won't know which officers submitted them. They won't know where they come from. They won't know their rank.
Like anonymous. So you're going based on context alone.
Yes.
How do you ensure that that there is a variety of ranked officers submitting papers? I would imagine for some it may be easier for senior ranked officers who may have or officers who may have a higher set of education degrees or certificates than other officers.
No, remember that we are getting the input from our frontline police officers and our middle managers, not from the high command. So, and these officers, we have advised them that they can collaborate or can seek mentorship or guidance from other individuals to allow them to develop that paper. But from the topic that Ms. Cano mentioned, I know my ministry has been pushing or gearing towards a reform, restructuring, rebuilding agenda of the police department. And many reform will be happening, and this will also provide us some guidance for us. So I'm actually excited about the process. I believe you have seen the recent revision, or if you have heard about the recent revision of the Firearm Act. That's a part of the reform agenda. And more will come out of this initiative.
I think this is a great initiative for officers to, I guess, sharpen those refined skills that they got in college, and they probably think that they forgot while entering the police department. But why should the public care about this initiative?
Honestly, the police officers, we are hoping that it will not only benefit our police officers, like what Ms. Cano said, but the community will be able to appreciate that intellectual stimulation is part of our life, is part of our work, is part of our policing effort. And so we believe that it will be twofold. It will benefit the police and it will benefit the community. Because remember, we are a service, the police department is a service provider, and we must be seen as that. And we must, and while the world is evolving and it's changing, so is policing. And we must adapt as a police department to the change that's happening.
All right. So as I said, this was a platform that gave the persons who are there every day, they know how this works. They know what works, what doesn't work, what needs to be changed. So it's really about how to improve inside so that when we are out there, we can give a better service. And of course, a better working police department means better service for the public.
And like what our minister have always been insisting on us and persisting that we change the course of direction in which we do policing. And he has been adamant that we must submit our practices and strategy to society to critique, both internally and within the community. And it's a direction that we have embraced within the police department.
The hope is that the public gets to experience some of these papers as they're finalized.
Well, the end goal, and I won't say too much because I'm sure CEO will eventually come here, is that when the winner is selected, there will be more.
Okay, there you go.
But I won't take it further than that.
Teasing us a little bit about it.
So we are very happy. The rank and file has submitted. We have ranks from constables all the way up. Males and females. I'm very proud that we had, I think, at least 6 females so far. So it is not limiting them because of rank or because of gender, but it is, it's for them to submit and show the interest. And so far, being on the first leg of this with 23, we hope that we can do this annually and encourage them more.
In fact, I was just discussing with Ms. Kana the other day that we eventually need to do the public call for calls for papers and opinions.
There you go.
That is where you integrate and bring in community engagement.
And then perhaps we start considering debates.
Yes. And it is an initiative that Ms. Khan and I have been discussing, and I think it's an initiative that it is something that is important to have societal input into it or community input into it.
Wonderful. Well, Deputy Commissioner Ms. Kano, thank you so much for coming in this morning. The initiative of Call for Papers is well underway. We're going to be hearing more about these topics, these research, these opinions that are done and carried out by our own police officers here in Belize. So you don't want to miss out on all of the information that will be coming at you the more that these papers are being vetted. Thank you guys so much for coming in this morning.
Thank you.
And staying in the line of research and papers and presentations and academia and all things Belizean, after the break, we're going to have the Belize Culture Symposium. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Fulltech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Caribbean Sprinter is proud to offer our best available rates to Belize residents online at sprinter.bz. Register today for our Sprinter Rewards program located on the resident section of our website. Skip the line when you book online with online check-in.
The Carnival season is upon us, and mass bands nationwide are gearing up for the September celebrations. Be a part of this festive season by having your company float in this year's Carnival. Interested businesses can email us at Belize Carnival Association 19@gmail.com or give us a call at 670-9230 or 610-4466. Join us and make we shake the place.
How does investment services work? For example, Joe's Construction wants to expand its operations by purchasing new equipment and hiring additional staff. How can Joe's Construction get an investment loan? The answer: Investment Services appraises the loan application and focuses on two key areas: adequate collateral and repayability. Investment Services will also consider how Belizeans and the economy will benefit from this new investment through job creation and business growth. The terms and conditions for Joe's construction loan will be based on the purpose and cash flow. After recommendation and approval, the loan is disbursed. SSB remains committed to proper management of the fund through prudent and responsible investments for the benefit of its beneficiaries, employers, and the Belizean economy. Social Security Board, an investment for you, your family, your future.
Are you looking for low-cost television advertising? Have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you to save valuable time and money. Call us today at 280-0013 or visit us at our offices on Coney Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
Dwayne Moody, Isani Cayetano, Marian Ali, Paul Lopez. Your News 5 Belize teams do whatever it takes. Go wherever they need to go, so you can catch the story wherever you are, whenever you want, on whatever device. Channel 5 Belize on television, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Because news is now everywhere, all the time. And so are we.
Whether you're at home, on the road, at work, or at school, if you see news happening or suspect that something might be up, call or text the Channel 5 News Belize tip line at 672-5555. You don't have to give us your name, just give us the tip. That's 672-5555. Call or text us so we can check it out.
When someone you love becomes a memory, the memory becomes a treasure. Channel 5 introduces the Daily Obituaries. The Daily Obituaries will broadcast all death and funeral announcements and memorials to honor your loved one's life and memories. The Daily Obituaries airs on Channel 5 prior to the evening newscast, with subsequent repeats at 10 p.m. and 12 noon the following day. It will also be placed online on our social media platforms, all for a standard package fee. Celebrate their lives and memories with Channel 5's Daily Obituaries. Honor in life and reverence in death.
And welcome back. And if you're joining us right now, we have moved from talking about research in the Belize Police Department to research in Belize. And that is all things culture symposium. And culture is keeping up with languages, culture, heritage, and the arts in Belize. It's a full-blown acronym. Culture. And joining us in studio, we have a past presenter and present presenter of the Culture Symposium, Dr. Christopher DeShield, and joining us via Zoom is co-director of Heritage Education Network Belize, Ms. Sylvia Bate. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. So, just for our viewers, Sylvia, let's start with you. Let's talk about Heritage Education Network Belize and why there was a need for a research symposium such as this.
Well, I believe our directors at Heritage Education Network Belize at one point or the next served in the education field. And one of the things that we realized is that there is a wealth of research on Belize, but there's not necessarily a platform that is accessible for all Belizeans. There's not really that opportunity for people to say, okay, this is this information on Belize, this is a way that I can access it relatively easily. So the Culture Symposium was sort of a brainchild of our directors because we really wanted to create a space where all Belizeans could feel welcome, where all Belizeans could feel represented, where they felt that their voices could be heard in an academic setting, but also more importantly, for especially our youth to be able to access this information and this research and to apply it and to really know what is happening in our country and to add their voice to that research.
Wonderful. This is the third annual Culture Symposium. So this was a COVID child, if you will. Yes. And we have one of the long presenters at Culture, Dr. Christopher DeShield, who presented at the very first symposium. So this is the third one in its making. So what has that experience been like for you? You're an academic in your own right, but presenting at a symposium such as Culture?
Yeah. Well, it's been a very valuable experience. I think echoing what Sylvia was saying there, the Culture Symposium offers Belizeans, all Belizeans an opportunity to participate, observe some of these presentations, but also speaking as an academic or a researcher, it's a valuable space that we can participate in. Just thinking about some of the conferences that the universities offer, those can sometimes be a little bit exclusionary, a little exclusive in catering to a narrow academic audience and even narrow within a specific field. But the Culture Symposium seems to be very democratic, ecumenical, if you will. I can collaborate with other persons from other colleagues, from other institutions. So I find it personally quite valuable in that regard. It's just it's another space. I mean, just thinking about this week right here, we have a very busy week at my institution. We've got a Sylvana Uds lecture tomorrow, and a State of the Nation lecture on Wednesday. But it seems like the Culture Symposium is sort of going to cap off the week with another way of approaching research and exploring topics that's more accessible, persistent, I think, as Sylvia was saying, right? Some of these videos you can link to, you use in the classroom. Some of the presentations are excellent to use that way. So just a very valuable experience overall.
So the symposium is scheduled for September 7th to the 8th, correct? Let's talk a bit about how the symposium will be structured. Sylvia?
All right, so yes, this is September 7th and 8th, and that is this Thursday and this Friday in our brains. Time is moving by quickly. September is here. We're moving through, and with all the September celebration stuff, we're really moving. So yes, it is this Thursday and this Friday, the 7th and the 8th of September. It starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, bright and early, and it finishes up around 3, given the length of our papers. So this is a virtual symposium, and what that means is all the presenters have very kindly and very graciously ahead of time pre-recorded their presentations. So the format of the symposium is about a 15-minute presentation in panel style. So they'll have 2 or 3 15-minute presentations. And then we will have a live question and answer segment. And I think the question and answer segment is really what brings sort of that life to the Culture Symposium, because what it means is you have that opportunity to speak directly to the presenters and to ask them information, to ask them questions. So the Culture Symposium is going to be aired on our YouTube page, that's Heritage Belize, and on our Facebook page. So that's Heritage Education Network Belize on Facebook. And we will be looking at both of those streams, both of those channels, and pulling in questions that people leave on the comment sections, and then presenting those questions to the presenters and getting that input, getting that feedback. And so it really is a space for community dialogue and having that negotiation of these topics. And one thing I love to tell my students or the people that I engage with is that you don't have to agree with everything that is presented. You don't have to agree with all of these papers or the position that is presented in these papers. But if you do not agree with it in sort of a structured manner, then you can put that information forward and say, hey, what about this perspective? And really get that dialogue going, especially with the presenters. And so again, it is this week, Thursday and Friday, the 7th and the 8th of September. It's going to be 15-minute presentations, and it's going to be on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. And you can find us at Heritage Education Network Belize or heritagebelize.org, and our website has all of those links and information on there. And we're super, super, super excited for those live question and answer. I think that's sort of my favorite part of the symposium, to see the dialogue that occurs after the paper.
Dr. DeShield, you've been a constant presenter at the Culture Symposium. When you first got a whiff of what this would be like, what did you think, or how did you think your research could support an initiative like Culture?
Okay, yes, so I think perhaps I'm invited here because I'm a veteran now presenter, but like Sylvia was saying, the format is quite special for the Culture Symposium, and now looking back at the 3 instances where I was involved and participated, seemed to have done or approached it in different ways for all 3 iterations. So the first, being a symposium, I kind of went at it like you know, a traditional academic style, and did this kind of straight up lecture, presentation, and then Q&A. For the second iteration, I collaborated with my spouse, Miriam Lowe, and another colleague, Dr. Hampton, to work on a presentation on period poverty and menstruation, actually. So it was, I was behind the scenes in that, I think appropriately, being a male non-menstruator, you know, behind the scenes as a researcher and helping with the direction there. Now for this third one, taking advantage of the Q&A format and that aspect, our presentation is again a collaborative presentation with 2 other colleagues from the University of Belize, Ms. Teresa Koy from Department of Languages and Literature, and Dr. Joyan Defour-Bab, the research director at UB. And we are engaged, or our presentation takes the format of a conversation, really. So we're kind of inviting the public to attend on a conversation among us academics about a research project that we've been engaged in, and then extending the conversation and opening up to whoever is listening or wants to be participant in it.
Without giving away too much about your presentation, can you at least give us the topic and how it fits into culture?
Sure, without any spoilers. Huh? Well, we 3 researchers were working on a paper, and our presentation for the Culture Symposium is some related ideas based on the research that we've been conducting on social justice and higher education, actually, was our topic, where Belize is currently engaged in curriculum reform, with a certain set of proposals presented to Belize as useful and relevant for building, you know, our national development needs. So we were engaged in researching on how these sets of reforms, because they've been adopted in other countries globally, what has been the uptake there, what are some of the criticisms, pros and cons of these set of reforms, what is the whole context there globally, looking at some research by these, what do you call them, comparative global education policy scholars. And we situated it in Belize in the context of curriculum reform, and also tried to link it to the ongoing constitutional reform, because using this concept of social justice, we tried to ground it in the preamble to the Constitution, which talks about social justice.
Is that paper ready?
I mean, yes, we submitted it, so it goes for editors and review as a book chapter for a Caribbean publication.
Oh wow! Yeah. I like that.
You'll be interested in that one.
Send it your way.
Perfect. How have you seen these symposiums over the last 2 years elevate the conversation around culture within the public domain?
Yeah, that's a good good question there. Well, personally and professionally, in my own space at UB, I've been using some of these presentations because they're recorded. These are persistent things, like a legacy of the Culture Symposium, and I can use them in class settings, making reference to a diverse array of presenters on innumerable topics, and that's been a very valuable resource that I can point to. I can have students check out this presentation and then use that in the classroom setting. So I think for sure in my professional life it's been useful.
Yes, Sylvia, the same question for you.
I would say having students come back maybe a year later, or having students come back and reference a paper from the first Culture Symposium. And similar to what Dr. DeShiel said, that it's creating a legacy, I think it's creating sort of that repository and having it being online and open source and accessible to everyone is sort of one of the maybe foundational aspects of our Culture Symposium. And so all of these papers are available on our YouTube channel, and it's all open source. And we really have to be thankful to our presenters, because they understand that participating in the Culture Symposium is not only putting that information out there, but it is making a portion of their research publicly accessible and sort of submitting that into the public domain.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Another takeaway from this would be our citizen scientist presenters. And so Dr. DeShield is a lecturer at the University of Belize, one of the many hats that he wears. But also in our list of presenters, we have community members, we have activists, we have tour guides, we have what we term as citizen scientists, and these are people who have a wealth of knowledge or experience, or maybe traditional knowledge. And the Culture Symposium is also a space for them to sort of share their experiences, share their expertise. And so we really bring in people from the academic field, but also people from the non-academic field that really have a space and a voice and things to say about the development of culture from their perspective.
We have Dr. DeShiel here, who is a long-time presenter, but in terms of other presenters that have contributed to culture within the past 3 years, Sylvia, what has been, you think, the key element in uniting both foreign presenters and local Belizean presenters?
It's been Belize. So with our first thematic area, persons asked us, what is the theme? Or can I submit my paper? Or I'm coming from the education background, or I'm a tour guide and I have this area of interest or expertise. Can I submit to your symposium? And what we tell everybody is that if your presentation is on Belize, if you don't have to be a Belizean, but if you are a person researching in Belize, if you have interest in a particular area, if you've been doing work in a particular area, if at the core of your interests is Belize, is our culture, is seeing that move forward, then the Culture Symposium is a place for you. So I know it's an acronym for keeping up with language, culture, heritage, and arts, but we do so much more within our symposium. There's so many different thematic areas, but at the heart of it is that interest in seeing Belize move forward and seeing us continuously progress as a nation, as a country, and as a people.
Sylvia, let's talk a bit about some of the other presenters that can be expected at this year's event, as well as some of the other topics that will be discussed.
Well, that's a great question. We have a broad cross-section of papers that delve within the Belizean prehistory. So we have a very strong archaeologist segment this year. This is something that we didn't see at the first or second Culture Symposium, but we have papers on the ancient Maya past, the ancient Maya prehistory, quite a bit of papers on ancient Maya tool production, which is, you know, the papers that were submitted this year and actually very interesting to me. The ancient Maya built an entire civilization without using any metal tools.
Yeah.
And so if you want to know how they did that and what kind of stone tools they used, there's an entire section on that.
Wow.
But we also have a couple segments on from the Belizean presenters. We have a segment on identity and formation. So we have Mr. Sion Vasquez presenting. I'm really interested in that one. It's looking at the colonial period Igbo town and looking at the buildings and the structures and how those tie into our past, but also our past that is tied into people of African descent who were enslaved in Belize. And so recently we had Igbo Town Festival and sort of that resurgence around the African civilization. So we also have that within our culture symposium. We also have papers looking at sort of Belizean community formation and how that has been impacted by, you know, disasters or that natural events. So that's Dr. Nicole Ramsey, and we're interested in that one as well. And again, a couple other papers on sort of our colonial history. So we have a segment on St. George's Key. So the Battle of St. George's Key is coming up, or at least the anniversary of it. And that has always been a topic of our Belizean history where you hear a lot about it.
Yeah.
But you know what? There is an archaeological perspective. There is the perspective on from the archival record, but there's also that community perspective. Who are the people who are still at St. George's Key? Who are the descendants of the people from St. George's Key? And it's a bit, it's funny that we have Dr. DeShield on the couch because maybe he can speak a little bit about that as well. But we do have that segment. Because you know what? Controversy is good. It means that we are interested in our history. It means that we are engaged in our history. And it means that we're talking about our history. So that aspect on St. George's Key, I think that's what's going to have our comment section blowing up. But we're really excited about that one.
In terms of, once again, where can we catch the Culture Symposium this Thursday and Friday, Sylvia?
Culture Symposium, we're online and we're digital. So you can find us on any of our Heritage Education Network Belize channels. That includes our YouTube channel, that's heritagebelize.org. We all are also on Facebook, so you can look up Heritage Education Network Belize. And we're on Facebook as well. It is going to be streaming live. We have 2 full days of presentations. If you don't feel like you can make 2 full days of presentations, look at our website, heritagebelize.org. We have our preliminary symposium schedule out already, our program. So you can maybe keep an eye out on the presentations that you are interested in and just tune in for those. But again, we are live online on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. Check us out, Heritage Education Network.
And Dr. DeShield, final words from you. Why should viewers tune in to Culture?
Oh, it's going to be an exciting array of presentations, a diverse array. I think it'll be very accessible, enjoyable, educational. It's a great time, so tune in.
Tune in. You want to tune in, Paul?
Of course.
You tune into this
I'm usually tuned in.
Okay.
Because whenever these things happen, I either don't remember, but I'm scrolling Facebook and bam,
it's
live
right
pops
there.
up and I'm like, all right, let me tune in and listen to 1 or 2 of the presentations.
I think for me, this symposium, I'm always excited for the Belizean representation. I think for the past 2 years, the Culture Symposium have been not just 2 days, but 3 days, I believe. And I think that for a couple of the days, 1 full day was dedicated to only Belizean papers. So it's very exciting to see our community coming out and embracing the fact that they do research as well.
Indeed.
So Sylvia, Dr. DeShield, thank you both so much for joining us this lovely Monday morning to talk all things culture. We look forward to the presentations.
Thank you.
All right, Paul, we got to take the break. And kind of keeping in tune with culture, Belize, and all things September, we have the King and Queen Carnival winners joining us in our final segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
With eCash, bill payment is extremely convenient, and all utility companies accept eCash payments. What's even better? You get to split bills with your roommates, siblings, or whoever you desire. Simply open your eCash app, go to Bill Pay, tap the respective utility company, enter the information, and pay the bill. Then tap the transaction made. Tap Split the bill. Select Evenly. Send the request to who you are splitting the bill with, and get notified when they pay. Talk about making life easy and avoiding confusion. You can split the bill for restaurants, grocery stores, and for any eCash payment you make. To find your next yummy meal, hair treatment, or chill spot, simply open the app and utilize the geolocation service to see nearby businesses that accept eCash. Geolocation and bill payment make life a whole lot easier.
Carnival Association, Empire Entertainment, and Travelers Liquor presents the return of the last laps inside the Marion Jones Sporting Complex. It's all going down on Saturday, September 9th. That's right, on Carnival Day, where the carnival will be finishing inside the stadium for the last laps and the judging of the 9 competing bands. Come on out and cheer on your favorite band, and immediately thereafter, you get to get off the bleacher and come on onto the grounds for the first ever Rags and Flags party, featuring DJ Drea, all the way from Trinidad and Tobago, DJ Sambo, and it's all hosted by DJ Dixie and Yannicka Matthews. Giveaways will be fully loaded, and food and drinks will be on sale. Gates open from 3 p.m. and this party lasts until 8 p.m. It's the Rags and Flags Party, Saturday, September 9th, inside the Marion Jones Sporting Complex. Marion Jones Sporting Complex. See you there.
Make your summer better. Over $30,000 in cash and prizes with Smart Summer Sweepstakes. Here's how you can enter for a chance to win. Sign up for a smart postpaid, broadband, or VoIP plan. Use $100 or more regular prepaid credit. Do a SIM swap or text in to the short code 786. In the body of the message, enter the number of entries you would like to purchase.
No waste no time. You can be the winner of weekly prizes. All methods give you more chances to win local airline tickets, overnight stays at numerous resorts, cash prizes, gift certificates, and much, much more. One lucky person will win the grand prize valued at $10,000, courtesy of Smart and the Belize Tourism Board.
Promotion ends September 15th. So make your summer better by getting in the race to win with Smart's Summer Sweepstakes. Smart, bringing people together.
And we are back. I'm sorry. And in studios with us, we have a lovely segment, and this clearly has to do with the Carnival King and Queen competition that took place over the weekend.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you were able to tune in. I was able to tune in because I'm always interested in some of these amazing costumes that our Belizean creators and artists are able to put together from concept to actual creation. And we have the Carnival Queen winner representing Belizean jewels, and that's Khadijah Tun Retrigue.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Did I get it right?
Yes.
All right, Khadijah, welcome this morning.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
Tired.
You tired?
It was a long weekend.
It was a very, very, very long weekend.
So, I mean, congratulations
Thank you.
on winning the Carnival Queen competition. Let's start with the work and the journey. So you've been in this for a very long time, 20 years to be exact. Wow. And you've won several of these competitions in your own right. But so tell us why and how this is important to you, and the work that it takes to put your efforts into this costume and into this competition.
So I've been dancing since I was about 5. I started off in Jump Street Posse with my aunt, Miss Marina Welcome. So ever since then, that's where the love for Carnival formed, kinda. But it got to a different level whenever I think I was about 17, and my mom was like, I think we should do a senior band. I was like, Mom, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So we started in 2012, and we would just take little breaks so that we can go back, learn our little mistakes, and then come back stronger. And that's what we did last year. So last year we did not participate. We kind of drew out our blueprint. The theme that we're doing this year, we actually had it from 2 years ago.
Wow.
2 years ago. So we needed everything to be precise, and that's what we wanted. We gathered our sponsors and everything 2 years ago. The work started 2 years ago. The only thing that we did not have put together was the king and queen costumes. Like I said, I don't live here anymore. I'm a U.S. soldier, so I have to be away and still kind of micromanage while I'm away.
So how, even in that effort, how long did it take for you all to visually create the concept of your costume?
So for this costume in particular, it was a bit challenging because the pieces that I'm wearing, I made in Texas.
Oh, you contributed to the creation?
Because I didn't have any time. So I was trying to be proactive. So a couple of the pieces that you see me wearing, I made them in Texas. The other pieces were made here. But we couldn't really put everything together until I got to Belize the day before the competition. So it was a hit or miss. And every year, Belizean Jewels, we try to dance with a purpose behind it. And our theme for this year is when masculinity and femininity collide. So we want to make the nation know that femininity and masculinity can coexist happily. And we chose Medusa and Poseidon to put that forth because, you know, everybody have their little Medusa and Poseidon stories. So we wanted to showcase the side that we really know, because if you do the Greek mythology history, you would know that Medusa is not a bad person. Her snakes are not bad, and I want to publicly make that. Like,
can you give us that synopsis of that theme, because I don't think a lot of people would get that looking at it firsthand, right?
So Medusa was a very beautiful woman, and Poseidon cast a spell on her after taking advantage of her. So her snakes were meant to be bad, but she turned them into her protection. So those snakes are now her protecting herself. And that's what we want to showcase, that basically whenever life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. And this is the way that we wanted to portray it, and I believe we did it in a very, very, very...
I think so as well. I mean, I'm looking at this costume, and what I want to know is it heavy?
How heavy?
So it's very heavy.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very heavy. But whenever my father, my mom, I believe she goes to sleep with the intentions of waking up and telling my dad, this is what I want.
Yeah.
And he executes them so well, so well, and they really, really, really work together. Great. But every time he would do something or make a little change, they would call me and say, hey, it's getting heavier. So whenever they tell me that I go to the gym, I've been working.
Oh, really?
I've been working out extra hard for this competition, because I know it's been some time since I actually jumped in a costume.
I mean, and this is the same costume that you'll have to walk through the streets with, right?
Yes. So on Carnival Day, I normally ask for help, ask the revelers for help. But if I'm not mistaken, it's about, I want to say about maybe 275, 300 pounds.
What? Sorry, guess.
Yeah.
275 pounds.
That's a lot.
Wow. How much
That's
you
a
bench
lot.
press?
Enough. But I have to in order to execute. But it sits on 2 wheels because it can't be afloat. So whenever I get out, it has to fall down.
Yeah.
My body has to support.
Right, and then you have to. I mean, you'll have to drag it around. So it's basically you dragging.
Yes.
Right, or pulling along. Let's talk a bit about the features of this costume. We saw the snakes. So what are some of the distinct features? Help us to kind of get an idea of what's happening all around.
So there's different things that we wanted. Like I said, the snakes are her protectors. So I wanted to really emphasize on the snakes because I don't want anybody to look at it and say, oh, you know, it's something evil
or scary.
Yeah. Because if you don't know the theme and you look at it, that's what you're seeing. So that's why we try to, every little chance that we get, we post on our social medias and make everybody aware of the theme.
Right.
Because just looking at it, you're like,
all right, so they promote really evil.
Yeah.
What kind of evil timings on and people might
I mean, I'm looking at the costume and notwithstanding yours or Poseidon's, and I'm looking at the float. It's a beautiful construct. I don't see I
mean, the colors.
The colors are beautiful, and which leads me to ask, and I mean, I know you say your mom wake up in the middle of the night, but how long then did it take for this to come to fruition?
So we were actually working on this costume the day. Like, we did not sleep. We did a full, probably like 24-hour shift. It took a long time because the materials that we have on the costume, we did not purchase them here.
Okay.
So my mom, she took some trips. She went out, did some research, and she's like, okay, these are the things that I need, but it's not here. So to transport all of those from California, bringing them here was a task. So we had a lot of bumps in the road, but we made it work.
Let's talk about the requirements of this competition, because for the outside, you know, we're just seeing a beautiful costume, not just by yours, but by all of the competitors.
So how do they judge?
But so how do they judge, and how do you take away from all of this?
Okay, so one of the biggest requirements is that your costume has to be more than, I believe it's 6 feet above the head.
This is why they use the
highest point.
height?
Yes,
yeah.
The highest point of the costume has to be about 6 feet above the head.
Okay.
It cannot be afloat, so you cannot get out of the costume and it stands by itself. And the biggest thing that I take away from the judging requirements, for me, and a lot of the other bands don't really take this part into play, but for me it's very important. When you're dancing the King and Queen competition, you are no longer yourself. You must be a part of that costume.
You're
Hence, all of the different snakes and me wearing my thongs, and I don't know if it's showing there, but I had like snake contact lens.
Yes.
I had everything in. Because I'm no longer myself, I have to be a part of that costume.
Interesting.
It does not matter if you're gyrating or whining, they do not judge you based on that. So you have to play the costume. The costume has to move. It has nothing to do with you. And that's the biggest takeaway for me.
Yeah, and
it looks like it's a part of you. It really does.
Right. And you're dancing in the costume, right? So it's not just you walking along or trotting along, you're actually moving with the costume and with the music that's playing.
Correct. You still have to move, but it's the costume that's really dancing. That's what they want to see. They want to see movement. Yes.
So it can't be a stiff figure behind you.
This is definitely one of the better costumes I've seen in a long time.
Thank you.
I have to say that. So congratulations to you guys. What does it mean for you, just the entire culture of Carnival in Belize, and seeing the investments that your band and all other bands continue to make on an annual basis? Because as much as it's a competition and they may be your rivals, they are worthy rivals at the end of the day, given the annual investment that's made and just keeping up with this culture on an annual basis.
I must say that we all want the same thing. That's the biggest thing. We all want a carnival where everybody comes to Belize to dance Carnival, and I must say we're getting there.
Yeah.
I believe all of the bands have different members flying in to dance, and that's the main goal for all of us. Yes, it's a competition, but we want to see Carnival evolve in a way that does not only benefit us, but the economy as well. Because Carnival is a big money maker if you do it the right way.
Yeah.
If you do it the right way. And that is why not only my band, but even the other bands, we all want to elevate our costume. We all probably look at Trinidad and, well, for me, Brazil. Brazil is
another one.
Yes, Trinidad is nice, but Brazil is a different level.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And Brazil is where I get all my little ideas and stuff from. Like, oh, this is nice. So the way Carnival is evolving, I feel like that's the end goal for all of us. Just imagine people flying in, everybody's going to win. Every single person, the hair braiders, the liquor
Makeup
companies,
artists,
everybody, the vendors on the street side. It's evolving, and that's what all of us really
It's a part of the orange economy, the creative sector, and it's one of those conversations that the government is having more now than ever before about investing in the creative sector, the orange economy. And Carnival, believe it or not, plays a huge role in countries across the region when it comes to the creative sector and the orange economy. Why do you think, you've been in it for 20 years, why do you believe that we haven't quite gotten there as yet, or where we would want to be in comparison to countries like Trinidad? I mean, apart from the population, I guess.
Yeah, I believe that it all comes down to the sponsorship. That's the biggest takeaway. Like for us, our sponsor is an international sponsor because it was so hard to get sponsorship here. But if everyone can come together, even the government, and gives us exactly what we need. Well, not really exactly, but help us out a little bit. We can bring Carnival to a different level. And I feel like, they kind of sit on it a little bit because they don't see how far Carnival can go and how far they can go.
Yeah.
Because yes, we're helping out. We're doing the boots on the ground work, but it's for them. The people come to Belize for Carnival, but the government and the economy, they're the one that benefits.
Yeah.
Do you see Carnival as a national event or just a Belize City event?
National event. Well, no. At first, it was a Belize City event because people would be scared to come to Belize City. But no, since everybody's really learning about it and getting to know the bands at a different level, it's playing out. I believe that they're scared to take a leap of faith, and if they should do that one day, then we can see, because it's hard. I mean, the Carnival committee is so small, but if you ask me, there's no September without Carnival.
There isn't.
Yes, we have the 21st, we have the 10th, but everybody really looks forward to Carnival.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a product at the end of the day, and what you get from that product is how well you create that product and how well you advertise that product and how well you attract buyers, customers, whether regionally or internationally, to that product. Now you've been in it for 20 years. Right now you're serving in the U.S. Army. How do you manage? How do you manage that?
That's why I kept asking about how long it took to make the costume.
And what's the future like for you?
I really want to say this is my last year dancing. I really want to say that, but my mother would never, and my family would never, because for us, Carnival is a family event. Everybody chips in. We have uncles, aunts, our biggest sponsor is my aunt in California. She's the one that she has been doing everything for us. But it's a family event for us. Last year we tried to sit out. It was hard for us. I mean, we all came as a family and watched it on the sidelines, but it was hard because we know what we're capable of doing, and it's not to make money or anything. It's just for us to have fun. It's been 20 years, and it's hard to give it up. So
20 years more.
Yeah, I think so. But in terms of what we can expect from not just your costume, because we've seen how beautiful it is, but your band in general, what can we expect from them this weekend?
So this year, I must say that we really worked on details. We have our camp night tomorrow, so we're going to be revealing all of our costumes tomorrow, and look out for details. That's all I can say. The detailing on these costumes this year are like none other. It's different, it's vibrant. When you see them, you can see the full story, because just seeing Medusa is only one part of our story. But bringing them together, you can read it like a book.
So you guys are looking to take it all?
We're hoping our revelers, they're pumped up. I was practicing with them yesterday, and
how many members are in your band?
So my mom initially she started at, I want to say 150, but she's beyond that now.
Wow.
We have people coming in every day.
That is a big
every day.
band.
And I tell her, I'm like, I'm scared because she's not telling them no. So as soon as she's like, okay, and then she goes and she makes another costume. But Mom, we need to cap.
Khadija and Jewel take over the entire Carnival. Yes.
Well, Khadija, we want to thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations once again, and all the best to you and your band this weekend. I know that we are in Belizeans across the country are going to be tuned in. I know Channel 5 will be covering the Carnival live as we do every year, and so we look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And Paul, we got to take the break. We're going to be back to wrap things up. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us.
Make your summer better. Over $30,000 in cash and prizes with Smart Summer Sweepstakes. Here's how you can enter for a chance to win. Sign up for a smart postpaid, broadband, or VoIP plan. Use $100 or more regular prepaid credit. Do a SIM swap or text in to the short code 786. In the body of the message, enter the number of entries you would like to purchase.
No waste no time. You can be the winner of weekly prizes. All methods give you more chances to win local airline tickets, overnight stays at numerous resorts, cash prizes, gift certificates, and much, much more. One lucky person will win the grand prize valued at $10,000, courtesy of Smart and the Belize Tourism Board.
Promotion ends September 15th. So make your summer better by getting in the race to win with Smart's Summer Sweepstakes. Smart, bringing people together.
It's good to keep the environment clean. BSWAMA, step up the pace. They're going places to manage your waste. So make we stand and make well sure. No garbage left on the seashore. The whole of Belize we stay clean, cause we know say worth much more. We have pretty environment. So when you see the garbage on the ground, go on for me and just bag it on.
Cleanliness has always been second nature to us, so let's work together to keep our surroundings beautiful and healthy.
No garbage in it.
Get ready, babe. We're going on a vacation.
Finally, where are we going?
Don't worry, babe.
I have we covered.
Are you sure you know where we're going?
Yes, Bill. Oh, right there, see? Babe, the price was too good to be true. Me look much more better in that picture.
When life throws you a curveball, Belize Bank has your back. With our online financing, you can turn any vacation mishap into a dream getaway.
Cheers to Belize Bank for making our dream vacation a reality.
Thanks to you, babes, to turn things around.
No thanks to you, cheapo.
Ouch.
Experience the future of financing with Belize Bank online, where you can secure funds for anything, from anywhere, at any time, all without stepping foot in a bank. Apply for a loan today and unlock a world of possibilities.
And welcome back. We are wrapping up our Monday morning show call, and we got to thank all of our guests that came in to discuss these wonderful topics. And we started off with the representatives from the Belize Police Department and their initiative call for papers that surround social issues within the police department, social issues within law enforcement, and so forth. And of course, creating solution-based research to these issues and these problems. And so they've already closed their thesis statement, and they're in the preliminaries of their first draft, reviewing and so forth. And these research initiatives are done for and by the Belize Police Department, members of the Belize Police Department. So we are so thankful that they came in this morning to share their efforts, and we look forward to seeing the solutions of those papers.
And then, of course, in our second conversation was all about culture, keeping up with language, cultures, heritage, and art.
Yay!
Yes, so languages, culture, heritage, and art. And that takes place on September 7th and 8th. Its entire event is virtual, and so you'll have access to it. So whether you're at work or you're moving around, if you have your mobile device, you're just connected to the internet. I encourage you to tune in, and even to prepare for the event, you could go back and look at some of the presentations from the year past, because I love the fact that these presentations, they remain online for the most part, and so you could go back and you could always glean and learn something new. I'll tell you, I've used a couple of the presentations in news pieces when I've done cultural stories, and I would go to an individual and they say, I can't interview right now, but you know what? I did a presentation on this exact same thing for the Culture Symposium. Here's a link, or go and you'll find it. And I found it like, wow, this is very interesting information, and sometimes it's even better than the interview because it's well prepared, well researched presentations that are being given. So Culture Symposium, look out for that one this weekend.
I was going to say that it has birthed researches by our own Belizeans that I didn't even realize were doing work. You had persons like Alex Evans, he sent in for the very first Culture Symposium. He was talking about the history of Pan. You have persons like Dr. Dylan Vernon who have participated, persons like Kayla Gentle, who is also a veteran as well. Just different, Frank Zib, all of these Belizeans that are not only academics but have done the work, have done the boots on the ground work to create these presentations based on their experiences. And so head on over to the Heritage Education Network Belize Facebook and YouTube page to check out the live Culture Symposium.
And then our final conversation, of course, it was all about Carnival King and Queen. And we had the winner, the Queen from Belizean Jewels, Miss Kadisha Tun Retrigue. And that was a very insightful conversation about Carnival and the costumes.
And how long she's been a veteran in her own right, 20 years of Carnival.
I say kudos to her for carrying that heavy costume. Not only did she carry it in the Civic, but this weekend she'll have to carry it through the streets of Belize City. That's a whole nother thing. But what I love about her costume is that it's usually a representation of the band and the band costumes. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
The rest of
And we at Channel 5 will be covering the Carnival live, but also throughout this week, we'll be also giving coverage of these mass band revelations. So throughout the week, each night, there's going to be a different revelation where these bands will be introducing their costumes, their band, etc., their concepts to the nation. And we'll be covering that, I believe, starting tonight up until either Thursday or Friday leading into the
You know, when she said I've been in this since I was 5 years old, it just dawned on me how long Carnival has been in Belize. And, you know, it is part of our September celebrations. And I always encourage persons to, if you're going to go out there, please, please, please be safe. So that wraps up our show for this morning. We want to thank our guests once again, but of course, thank you to the viewers, because without you, this would not be possible. If you have a birthday shout out, or if you have a birthday today, I'm sorry, happy birthday to you. It is September 4th after all. But if you have a birthday shout out or just a question or comment, just drop us a line right here at oie@channel5belize.com. And apart from cable, you can also catch our live stream on Facebook every single day at Open Your Eyes BZ, and you catch all of our shows highlights on Instagram at OYE Belize. Belize, thank you so much for joining us this morning, and do us again the favor and join us again tomorrow when you open your eyes.
And start your morning right.
Be sure to keep your eyes, your minds,
and your hearts open.
We'll see you again very soon, Belize. Remember, it's going to be a very rainy day today, so please be dry. Look out for updates from the Belize Meteorological Service, and have a wonderful Monday. Bye.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.